Many of us don't even think about it until we lose a loved one.
But now more than ever, it might pay to shop the prices of funeral arrangements. News 4's George Rickard has a special report tonight. George?
Well, until I started researching this story, I had no idea there are 175 funeral homes just in Western New York, and the prices from one to the other can be very different.
The price of a casket does not cost that much money.
Ted Bieniak has spent years comparing the prices among local funeral homes. He's president of the Greater Buffalo Memorial Society, a nonprofit funeral consumer group, who says while the national average cost of a funeral these days may be over $7,000, it's possible to do it for much less.
Well, there are 175 funeral homes in Western New York, and I think we only need about 25.
Cremation has become the choice for more than half of those who die.
Let's say they're less afraid about death. It's a more transient society. People aren't purchasing graves like they used to, and they've redefined their priorities. They're spending less for funerals and more for living expenses.
But take a look at the differences in price listed for direct cremation among local funeral homes. While some do it for under $1,000, some of the larger funeral home chains charge in the thousands.
4 times the price for the same service.
What would they, it can't be the same service.
Oh yes, they're all doing the same thing. It's direct cremation means direct cremation.
The funeral home fee for direct cremation is $565.
Kevin Mason Funeral Home in Kaisertown was one of the cheapest.
We obtain the death certificate, file it, get the permit that we need to go to the crematory and transportation to the crematory.
New York State requires families to go through a funeral home even if they don't have a visitation there.
Now it's becoming more popular where people will even do something at their home, have an open house, where they will go to a park or a favorite location of the deceased.
Yet some funeral homes are charging over $2,500 to be the middleman between the family and the crematory itself, which the family is charged an additional $300 for.
It's not as simple as it sounds sometimes.
John Dengler of Dengler Roberts Perna Funeral Homes points out that you only get one chance to say goodbye to a loved one, and many clients come in thinking cremation is all they want, but see the unique ways to remember a loved one and often want a visitation after all.
There's not many facilities like this in Western New York that can accommodate a lot of people in one room. Good parking, I mean, those things cost money.
As for the smaller funeral homes, what isn't a family getting here that they could get?
Absolutely nothing.
People are actually cremated in a simple cardboard box.
Embalming is not required at all in New York State, even for burial.
So as awkward as it may seem, it pays to shop around, especially if a direct cremation is all you're planning. Plus, if you become a member of the Greater Buffalo Memorial Society for a one-time fee of $25, they can help you find discounts. So an entire cremation can be done for a total of $720.
$720, that's with the crematory.
You can take a closer look at the price list we compiled and find out how to contact that Greater Buffalo Memorial Society in our story on WIVB.com.
And George, you said something that I didn't know, and that is now that cremation is more common than traditional burial.
I didn't know it either, and there's a couple reasons. One is price. It's a lot cheaper, as you can see. The other is it's become more acceptable. The Catholic Church used to be against this. Back in the 1960s, the church said it's okay, but sometimes it takes a couple generations for something to become widely acceptable, and that's what's happening now.
That explains why we're seeing it so much. Thank you so much, George.